That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, order 10 on privilege.
Senate President is to suspend me from sitting, and I promise you, the fact that I am suspended does not mean that I will cease to contribute my quota to the development of my people, the women of Nigeria, and Nigerians at large.
And that is Senator Akpabio doing everything possible to dehumanize Senator Akpoti because she is from the Middlebelt. I dare say to Akpabio, if she was a northerner, if that lady was a Fulani, can Akpabio dare on his life talk to her like that? I am sure if that woman was from the Connaught, it was from Kano State, it was from Zamfara, Katsina State, I am sure the Fulanis in the house by now would have had a direct attack on Akpabio. I don't understand. These Middlebelt people who in the few months' time have been doing everything possible to regain their voice, to regain their people, to regain their humanity. And we must give it to Natasha Akpoti that she has been a very formidable force for the Middlebeltans. For the Middlebelt whom have always been wrapped up or wrapped in a box where they were called not. But she is one that has been able to stand out. I recall how she moved emotion to ensure that the resources that is found in the Ajakuta steel mill is used for the direct benefit of those people who are in the Middlebelt. I also remembered how she pushed to ensure that the Plateau State is well secured so that our fellow compatriots who are in the Middlebelt are not being on a daily killed by the Fulani'S. But again, here we are today. Akpabio is doing everything to silence her. And we know who Akpabio works for. We already know that Akpabio is a sellout. We already know that Akpabio is a stooge of the Fulani'S hegemony. I mean, we saw where Akpabio was putting on a lawani. We know that Akpabio's agenda is to also move. Maybe in the next coming years, he wants to become a president. Now is a game that the Fulani'S have understood. That for them to remain relevant, they have to silence the Middlebelt. And here, Akpabio is carrying out such scheme. But we have to tell Akpabio, you will fail. Because now, the Middlebelt understands their value. They understand their position in the society. Because if we want to be fair, Middlebelt is the most fertile. They are the richest in Nigeria. Because their land happens to be the most fertile land and fertile soil, and of course it is within that Middlebelt that you can find something we call snow. It is that Middlebelt you can grow all manner of foreign fruits, you know. And if you talk about oil and gas, yes, we understand that is the south, but again, nobody can eat oil and gas. When you talk about natural resources, you have to talk about the Middlebelt before you talk about any other region. But here is Akpabio trying to silence her because she's a lady. Don't forget also in the past, Akpabio has done everything to silence her because he has seen that she's a threat. She has been trying to move a bill to ensure that the Middlebelt, the North Central, the money that was allocated for the North Central in the budget is used judiciously. But we saw what Akpabio has done, which is a shame, and it's a shame for Akpabio. The Middlebeltans must rise up. They must support her. They must support her in solidarity. They mustn't allow this woman to be pushed to shame because everything Akpabio is trying to do is to humiliate her because she's a woman. I say again, and I dare say, will Akpabio had threatened this woman if she was a Fulani woman? I mean, we understand that one Fulani woman came in the Senate when she was saying that no man born of a woman can stop the Fulani'S from moving their cows around the country. Has Natasha ever said any despicable statement like that? What Natasha is simply saying is, we in the Middlebelt deserve to live our life to the fullest. We should have that opportunity to be able to fulfill our potentials. But what we see is Akpabio trying to gaga over and over and over again. Nigeria is in the hands of occultic, very strong-willed occultic men. Nigeria is currently bondaged in shackles. We want to have our freedom as people. You are a Biafra man, you are listening to me. You are an Oduduwa man, you are listening to me. You are in the Middlebelt. Right now, Middlebelt should rise up and start speaking, there should be some drums of protest, some drums of solidarity in support of Natasha Akpabio, because no woman, no Senate deserves to be treated like that. She was treated like a mere bandit. She was treated like a woman who was not a Nigerian. She was treated like a lesser citizen, when indeed she is a senior citizen who in fact represents a constituent. For this reason alone, if we're in a country that functions, I guarantee you Akpabio shouldn't remain on that seat of the Senate presidency. But here we are in Nigeria. Anything works, anything goes, anything can flow, because it doesn't make any sense that when you are being questioned, the next thing you are told is keep quiet. You guys will recall when Senator Lingi of PDP also came out when they were about to pass the budget of 2024. He said that there has been a budget padding of 1.5 trillion naira, which has no empirical or no clear functionalities, no clear descriptions. This is padding. You know what they did? They sacked him for 6 months. If you really want your liberation, if we want a restructured country, we're not going to achieve this thing through gentleman. It is not a true Peter Obi who is trying to play gentleman politics that we will achieve that restructured Nigeria. You want a country whereby all of us can have a say, our common resources will be used for our common, benefits. Then we must understand that we have to rise up and join the Lutheranization, the level that Shawara has been preaching, that we have to love our country for us to rise and defend it. Even if we do not love this country, but we have to come together on a common purpose. We must come together for a common purpose, because not one man, at this stage, not one man can, unless you just want to be delusional. That is just the plain truth. Not a white man will now come and say they want to save us. We must rise up. If you want to be rebellious, you have to rise up. If you look at what went on in Afghanistan, the rebels loved that country. They saw a need to take up weapons, and then they put their life on the line. So many of them were unalived, but at the end of the day, they came out victorious. I am not by any means saying that we should carry weapons, but in a situation whereby our lives are no longer secure, because these corrupt politicians are taking our resources, usually for their own personal goods and deeds, then of course we have to rise up and do everything to protect our life. Because whether we like it or not, our life as the day goes by is being jeopardized. Our children unborn might just be born in a country where there is nothing. We pray that they should never be born in a country where people will be enslaved by birth. We have to rise up as a people. We have to fight this corrupt system. Tinubu should not be allowed to continue to perpetrate this evil. As we can see now, they are now dismantling Labour Party. In fact, I can say that Labour Party is already dead. A very close ally of Peter Obi just decamped Valentine Ozigbo in Anambra State. He just decamped from Labour Party to APC. At this stage, we don't even know if Peter Obi might not decamp, because there are so many rumors that Peter Obi might not be given the presidential ticket come 2027. But again, we can see how Peter Obi is playing his game. Nobody really takes him serious unless you are just a delusional human being. If you really want to have your emancipation and liberation, Peter Obi is not the person that you look up to, because of course he's also a part of the system, because he is operating like a man who is enabling them. He is not opposing them, he is not fighting them, he is not antagonizing them, and yet he is preaching what we call a new Nigeria. Does that make any common sense to any person that has an iota of simple logic, that when you are seeking for liberation, any man that will lead that crusade of freedom must not be seen on the same table with your enemies? If at all he will be sit on the same table, he has to sit at a point of advantage where he is negotiating for your own benefit. Is that the case for this same man? Natasha Akpabio, the senatorial candidate of Kogi North, as Tier Akpabio apart. She tore Akpabio apart after exposing the shortcomings, the abuse of power of Akpabio over the Senate members. She wanted to bring up a bill that will question the sanity, the sanctity, and of course, the validity of Akpabio. And what Akpabio did was not surprising, but it was dictatorial. Akpabio walked Natasha Akpoti out of the Alo chamber. You see, when we say that Nigerian government is a charade, that there is no way out of this contraption, that the Nigerian people who just want to pray their way out of this misery, they want to pray their way out of the shackles of Tinubu and his Fulani cohort, and Akpabio, of course, they are only joking. Until when the Nigerian people, until when the Nigerian people begin to take the Nigerian politics seriously, until they begin to embrace the Aluta style of politics that Omoyele Sowore has been preaching all his life, we will not have an headway. People like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have always, when they were free, have always talked about it, that until when the Nigerian people they understand the meaning of freedom, will they stand up to fight and defend freedom. Nigerian people today are slaves even in their own fatherland. The Nigerian people, as of today, majority of them are what? Are slaves in their own father and motherland. Well, we can say maybe some few people who might have been conscientized, or maybe they've had what we call exposure, and they understand what we mean by citizen activism in politics, citizen political activism. Then they will understand that is it until when the Nigerian people begin to rise up, question the senators, question the impact the Senate has on the life of the common man. I repeat, Nigeria will never push forward. Because whether you want a Biafra, whether you want a Odudua nation, one arm of government that can push for a referendum to be conducted, for us to check the temperature if truly Nigeria wants to separate as a nation, is the Senate, the House of Rep, collectively known as the National Assembly. But here we are, as the Nigerian people, we do not know when to speak up. We do not know who to channel our energy to. Let us understand, the only reason why in the Senate it has always seemed as if the North are the most powerful, the North are the most influential, and the North always seems as if they are the one that have the loudest voice, is because they understand fully well what the Senate has capacity to do. They understand that if the South, for any reason, agree to work together and push for a bill, let's say for instance, they push for a bill that wants to decentralize this country, that wants to return this country back to regionalism, you will see how collectively the Northerners will form a coalition, a cohesive power to repel and oppose that bill. Today, Akpabio has been exposed. Today, Natasha came out. He questioned Akpabio, asking him that there is something not right about the national budget. We didn't have enough time to screen the budget, and then here we are, if that budget has been passed. The administration of Tinubu, out of the blue, added or padded, should I say, they brought another supplementary sum of over 6 trillion in addition, taking that bill from 47 or 48, 49 billion dollars to a sum of 56 trillion naira for the year 2025. Even when we have not been able to check the fiscal responsibility, the budget performance for the year 2024. These were the questions. These were the things Akpoti was questioning. And Akpabio was trying to suppress her voice, saying that, well, you cannot just stand up and pass such a bill because you did not put it in writing. And when Natasha was reading the house rules of the Senate, Akpabio said, keep quiet, my friend. When I'm talking, you don't talk. She kept on talking. Akpabio once again said, keep quiet. I am talking. You should not talk. Let's watch the video together. Welcome back. As you can see, you guys will remember the former media aide of Buhari, that came out to say that whoever that is pushing for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a terrorist, as today got himself caught up in the web of karma. He came out once again to try and push or set up the Igbos for scam. This is a man, Bashir Ahmad, who came out when Buhari, the Fulani general, was still the one in charge of the Nigerian economy. Bashir came out and said that he presented the Nigerian air that was obviously a scam done by Adesirika. Bashir Ahmed said this is how the Nigerian air will look like, and money has been paid to the Kenyan or to the Ethiopian government to commission a plane for us. When that scam became obvious, and when people started questioning Bashir Ahmed, he said Nigeria will have to follow due diligence to recover the money. The same Bashir Ahmed who came out to defend the Buhari regime when 50 million, 100 million were being swollen by snakes, by monkeys, has now today gotten caught up by his own evil that he perpetuates, trying to set up the evils, because he wrongfully, or should I say he carelessly, sent money to an Ikechukwu through his Providence Bank must be curtailed. For anything to be done, I think the Northerners must understand that the reason why the South has been well developed ahead of them is because the South, to an high extent, have learned to follow due diligence and due process. Instead of Bashir Ahmed to go to his bank, file a transaction, an erroneous transaction form, and call for a reversal of his money, right? He decided to bring this matter to social media, to start painting, start generalizing, start using that incident to paint that Ikechukwu that it is fraudulent, and this is alike for the Igbos in their generality. Let me tell you why Fulani'S can be so dangerous and how they do everything possible to set up the Igbos. But before I go into that conversation, I must call out some of my brothers, even from the Southwest and South-South, who have been trying to say that the same Ikechukwu should refund that money. One thing they must understand is this: when you make an erroneous transaction, it behoves on you to return that money if you wish. If you do not return that money immediately, it doesn't mean you cannot still return it. If you say that you cannot return that money because you have a debt on that account, it is until when you have money, when you make enough money to return that money to the person who wrongfully sent that money into that account that was initially indebted, then that is the time he gets his money. Why are people not questioning a Bashir Ahmed who had attained the height of his career? This was a common boy who used to sell airtime recharge card, but he got the opportunity, he got appointed by Buhari, and within a space of 8 years, we know how influential, how rich, and how much affluence he has gathered. I do not know why he is crying for 1.5 million. Because I am sure if we are in a working system, if that guy's financial status, if his financial standings, and they go into his forensic audit of how much he worked before he became the special advisor on media aids to Buhari, and how much he now works after Buhari left the seat of power, I am telling you, a lot of money. At least all Nigerians should be able to get 5,000 naira each from the amount of money he must have, maybe allegedly stolen. For him to now try to set up a young boy who is, this guy is an innocent guy.
The proper thing